Hello everyone, it's vlog time again. It's been a while, so I've got plenty of stuff to cover. First stuff that's going on in my life. I've got another job for a bit, at least. I currently work a short amount of time at a railway station over the weekends, and by a little bit of luck, it seems, I got a job with an agency covering 4 weeks worth of fairly boring and pedestrian data entry work that just so happens to be at the offices of the company I work for. So from a completely outside kind of angle, I've managed to get myself in to working there, which is pretty cool. So I've got about a month's worth of regular 9 to 5, so I get my weekends back for a bit, and who knows, maybe I might be able to progress this and go somewhere further. I'm certainly hoping so. It'd be nice, but can't guarantee it. So yeah, I'm working a 9 to 5. My time's obviously taken up a lot more than before, and in the next sort of 5 or so weeks, my son's due to arrive, which is amazing. It's come around so quickly, which is probably something that everybody says. Yeah, it's sort of any time from now to kind of next sort of month, really. Which is one of the reasons why I'm on this side of the room, which may look suspiciously like that side of the room. We've rearranged in here, so I'm sat this way, so I actually have a bit of natural light today, rather than having to use a lamp, which is thoroughly exciting. But yeah, it's been really busy trying to get everything arranged for when he arrives, and sort of buy the last few remaining things, and just, you know, try and get a bit organised. However, there has still been plenty of time for games, which is what you're here for. Monday at the New Zealand Arms, as always, our evening in the pub that we do every single week, and I elected to play a game called Leader One: Hell of the North, sequel to a game called Leader One, which is a game about cycle racing. A friend of ours is a huge bike racing nut, and he keeps trying to get people to play this. It's kind of become a bit of a running joke because nobody ever wants to play it, but I decided that, yeah, you know what, I'll jump in and give it a go. And it turns out it's a pretty good game. Leader One: Hell of the North. Basically, you have a peloton, the sort of group of cyclists, and everybody starts in that, and that moves along the track, which has sort of downhills, flats, uphills, all sorts of twisty corners and things. It's really clever. The peloton follows like the slowest route, but you can try and break away from the peloton and go for it, and your cyclists have got different skills. You might be a sprinter, you might be somebody who's good at going sort of like uphill, you might be all sorts of different things, and you set that up beforehand, and you have like a bank of energy, and it's all about trying to conserve your energy and break away at the right point. So if you're a sprinter, you want to break away in before a sprint zone and get through the sprint zone to speed up and get ahead of the pack and try and get the way to the end. It's very much about timing. It's really clever. There's a few too many sort of conditional things where you're like, right, okay, I'm this type of cyclist and I've got this skill and I'm going on this terrain and there's this and there, you know, there's a lot of sort of +1 sort of stuff going on, which can mean that towards the end, when everybody breaks away from the peloton, sort of towards the end of the race, it starts to bog down because everybody's counting squares on the board and they're working out their stats and they're working out their modifiers. And so the bit where the race should speed up actually slows right down. So yeah, it seems like a fairly good simulation, and I would play it again, but at the same time the pacing seems to be kind of backwards, which is a bit weird. The components are lovely, I do like it. It's interesting as well, it's a different subject matter for me. So yeah, Leader One: Hell of the North, that took up most of the evening. Before that I played Guildhall, and I'm really liking Guildhall. Guildhall is a card game for up to 4 players, and it's like a set collection game, but the clever thing is that the more of the set you've collected, the more powerful that card becomes. So say you've got the Assassin, which allows you to assassinate a character from somebody else's Guildhall. If you've got more assassins, you can kill more cards. Once you get 5, that turns into a stack, and you can trade in a stack to buy a victory point card. And the victory point cards, some of them are lower points but have some abilities, some are higher points and have no abilities. It's really quite neat. The only thing is it plays pretty long for 4 players. It's a weirdly long game. So it can sort of outstay its welcome. I really want to play it with 3 players because I think that's where it shines. But with 4, the problem is you've got 5 sets and 5 colours in each set. And say you use the trader and you're like, right, okay, I'll trade. And you're looking at everybody else's cards to try and work out what they've got and what you've got and how you can swap them. And it's sort of, with extra players, the options exponentially seem to increase. But Guildhall is quite nifty, not too expensive. And there's Guildhall Job Fair, which is basically the exact same game with 6 different types of cards, so you can mix and match them, which is tempting, but I think I need to wear out Guildhall first. So that was Monday. Then we got through to Wednesday. I went over to Spirit Games, picked up a copy of the Hive Pillbug expansion, which I've split with somebody so that I get the travel tiles and they get the full-sized tiles. I've not used the Pillbug yet, but I just wanted to pick it up because I like Hive and anything to add to it is going to be good. It's not too expensive either, about £4.50 at Spirit. And if you can split that 2 ways, you know, somebody takes the small tiles for like £2, somebody can take the big tiles for £2.50, something like that, you know, it's fair enough. So yeah, the Hive Pillbug expansion was neat. I also picked up Level 7 Omega Protocol, which sounds very boring, and isn't. The thing is, I've been yapping on about this game on Twitter for quite some time. If you follow me on Twitter, I haven't really shut up about it. I've done what I usually do with a game that interests me. There's this game coming out. It looks interesting, but I don't know. This game seems to be getting some good reviews. I've read the rules, and the rules look good. But it can't be good. It can't be. It's getting too much good attention. And then you kind of, after a while, it wears you down, and you think, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. So I bought Omega Protocol. The sequel to Privateer Press's not so well received Level 7 Escape. It's basically Half-Life opposing force. You're a team of soldiers going down into this ruined facility to quell the escape of the alien species that has overrun it. Or you're the aliens trying to stop the Marines. And to be honest, I'm not sure if there are any good guys and bad guys in this. The Marines are basically on behalf of the government trying to silence something and keep it secret, which the public should really know about. And the aliens are just kind of trying to survive, although they're horrible because they've been experimenting on people. So I don't know who the good guys are, but it's good, it works, it's fun, and has slightly wonky field of vision rules that need clarifying. Because as is, your field of vision is like a 90-degree block. It sort of goes out in a sort of angle on either side like so. Which means that you can't see somebody next to you, but you can see somebody down a corridor and round the corner. Which it makes no sense whatsoever. So I think the line of sight rules need either clarifying or maybe just some examples so that you can't see people at the end of a hallway and in the corner of the room at the end of that hallway, which is impossible without a large angled mirror on a stick. So yeah, Omega Protocol, I didn't get to play that on Wednesday, but I did play it on Thursday. On Wednesday, I played a demo copy of the upcoming Eldritch Horror. Now, Arkham Horror, I like a lot. I don't get to play it too much, I really should play it more. I like it a lot, even though the game itself, well, probably because it's a big, creaking, overblown mess, it is not a mechanically great game. It is not an elegant game. It's not streamlined, it's not simple. It's got lots of fiddly bits and pieces, it's got hundreds of cards and billions of tokens, but there's something about Arkham Horror, which in itself isn't even a very Lovecraftian game. There's too much combat, there's, you know, a sort of motorbike and shotgun and shoggoth kind of combination. It's like, it's not really a Lovecraftian game in many respects, but I do like it. I like it a lot. Even though it's quite random, even though your control over the game is tenuous at best, there's something about it that just works for me. Eldritch Horror is kind of like a successor. Basically, Arkham Horror has gone as far as you can take it with its expansions. And you can tell that Fantasy Flight wanted to make a kind of a version 2, but without annoying all of their existing customers, like they did with Runebound. So I think what they've done is they brought out Eldritch Horror to be a successor, or kind of a sequel. Now the idea is it's kind of like Arkham Horror, but it's global. The theme works better, because the encounter cards are themed to the Great Old One you're fighting, and it all ties together better. It's not as random, it's not as mental with the sort of things that come up. In Arkham Horror, it was all over the place. In Eldritch Horror, if the Great Old One is Azathoth, then you'll fight cultists, and the cultists will be specific to him. You'll find sort of cults referring to Azathoth. It's not just completely scattershot. But I didn't really enjoy it, and the reason why is while it has streamlined things a lot, while it's a lot more simple, a lot more easy to get into, a lot more elegant, and contains most of the same elements as Arkham Horror, it kind of doesn't work for me because it doesn't have all the stuff. The stuff that burdens Arkham Horror. Once you take that away, you're left with kind of a bland game. I mean, it does have theme. You know, it's got flavor text and it's got theme. But it just feels weirdly empty. When you're taking generic city encounters, when you're kind of moving around and just kind of rolling dice against stuff, you're doing kind of the same stuff as Arkham Horror, but it just feels empty. I felt like in the game, all I generally did was sit on one spot and roll dice against monsters repeatedly. I didn't feel like there was much kind of variety. I didn't really feel... I mean, the monsters don't move. If you go into another world through a gate and you fail the check, then you get kicked back out and you just try again next turn. The stuff available to buy was like on a little sort of draft rather than specific to each shop. I don't know, it didn't feel like I was going around doing things. I felt too much like I was playing mechanics. I felt too much like I was... You know, we were reading the flavour text, we were going through the full experience, we weren't just going, you've got to do a skill check of X. But it just felt empty. I felt too much like, you know, the map was just this big, vast expanse with little unnamed cities and some big named areas, admittedly. But it just didn't feel right, and gaining sort of little +1 tokens for your stats. I tell you what, it felt like a Flying Frog game, not like an Arkham Horror style game. It felt like more like Fortune and Glory, or it did actually feel a little bit like Runebound even. It felt more like an adventure game. I don't know, it felt Flying Froggish. It felt like... To me, it's pretty much like Arkham Horror survives because of the weight of stuff that it has. And when you take that stuff away, the underlying system, although it's not exactly the same, just doesn't feel like it holds up. So yeah, Eldritch Horror, after one play, bear that in mind, one play of the demo copy, I'm not impressed. I will play it again, but I didn't feel like there was enough to do, and I didn't feel like much happened, really. But yeah, I would play it again to give it another shot, but initially, not really impressed. So then we went over to Thursday at the Furnace Inn, and the last D6 and beer of the year. D6 plus beer is the event that we've been running for a while at the Furnace Inn, and before that, the Brunswick, and it's weird. This is the last one of the year. We're not running one in December because it's going to be too close to Christmas. And this is going to be probably it is going to be the last one before our son's born. And it's going to be kind of hard for us to get down to it after that, probably. So I'd just like to say thank you to the Furnace Inn for having us, and a huge thank you, enormous thank you to everybody who showed up, because we had possibly the best turnout we've ever had. Everybody came along, everybody was having fun. It was just brilliant. It was so good to see so many people playing games and enjoying themselves, and the fact that, you know, this is something we'd started and it's taken on a life of its own. If we're not there, it's still going to carry on, and I really like that. I'm really happy that, you know, this event has just become its own thing. So yeah, thanks guys. So Thursday, I played a game of Wiz War, 4-player, and yeah, it was loads of fun. It went on for a while, but it never felt like it was going on for too long, and it was just... Wiz War's not a game you play all the time, alright? It's not one you're going to play over and over and over, but when you play it, oh, it's just so much fun. It's hilarious. It's... As long as everybody can take being slapped about a bit, and, you know, I didn't do so well. I got fairly well injured early on, and I couldn't get my health back up, but it was just fun. There's just, you know, the spells going off everywhere, people having a laugh about it. You know, being able to negate stuff and then whack people with the spell they just hit you with, and oh, I love Wiz War. It was a laugh. And there's an expansion coming out for 5 players and more spells, and yeah, I'm buying it. Can't remember what it's called, because it has a bit of a wonky name. But yeah, if you look on the Fantasy Flight Games website under news, you will find the next Wiz War expansion, and yeah, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Nothing else to say. Then we gave Omega Protocol a run through its paces on the Thursday, and it took a little bit of getting started, but it actually flows really nicely. It's really simple. The game moves along at a great clip. It doesn't feel like there's much downtime. It doesn't feel boring. The Overseer or Dungeon Master type guy can interrupt the heroes or Marines' turn. You know, there's lots to do. It doesn't feel like you're just waiting for your turn. And it's balanced well, because until you hit this point in the mission called the Crisis Point, the Marines cannot be killed. Which means that you don't have the problem where the Dungeon Master just wails on one guy and kills them and then ruins the hero's chances early on, or the heroes become too powerful and the Dungeon Master can't stop them. Because the heroes, the Marines, the soldiers, they're really quite powerful to start with. You can customize them before you start, and they've got different stances which they can adopt, which give them different skills. You've got kit cards that give them more stuff. You start off really pretty badass, and it's really cool that, you know, there's this feeling of progression, but the danger does amp up. When in the first mission you've got 2 objectives. When you find one of them, the Overseer gets like a discount on spawning monsters, and when you find the other one, you know, things ratchet up again, and when you hit the crisis point, then you become vulnerable because you can be killed. It's really cool. It's got this really good balancing mechanism, and you've got this thing called adrenaline, which is basically command points. When the soldiers do something, they give you points, right? You can then spend them on your turn, or in their turn if you interrupt. And that's really neat, because it balances out. The more they do, the more you can do. If they max out their adrenaline, you get an extra die when you attack them. There's a couple of little fiddly rules we totally missed, because the rule book I don't think is all that great. It's good, but there's too many little things that are hidden in there that you don't notice, like if a Marine's maxed out at adrenaline, you get an extra red die when you attack him. If you attack somebody with a clone, then the second clone gets a black die to attack it. You know, there's little situational things, and the line of sight, field of vision and cover rules are just too complex. But they're probably not that bad, they're just a bit wonky. You know, I've said about that before. So Omega Protocol, the other thing is the miniatures. It's an expensive game. I think the cards will need sleeving. I think the tiles, the card stock for those is fine. But the miniatures, they're very nice, but when you buy them, a lot of them will be flat. They'll be squashed, and that looks terrible. But they're made out of a slightly flexible plastic. You can use the hot water trick. I did, and everything's fine. Basically, you get them, you dunk them in boiling water until they start to unbend. Take them out, flatten them into their proper shape, and stick them in cold water to fix them. I've done this. A couple of them took 1 or 2 or even 3 attempts, but I've fixed all of them, and they all are fine. They stick flat to the table. None of them are leaning at funny angles. So yeah, it sucks that you have to spend the money to get a bunch of stuff you need to work on. But if you know how to fix it, it's a really simple fix. It's like 10 minutes work. So I don't really mind personally. You know, I come from a modelling background. I know how to fix stuff. It's okay. But for people who don't, be warned. It's a pain, because you will not want to use them as is. Some of them were literally like, you know, squashed like a pancake. So yeah. So Omega Protocol was a success. What else was played? I didn't play it, but there was Caverna got played, which everybody's going mad about because it's Agricola 2.0, pretty much. I can't remember what else was played. Loads of stuff got played, man. It was great, but my wife played the collector expansion for King of Tokyo, the what's it called? The Halloween one. And she's pretty impressed from what I hear. It's actually pretty neat, because you get costumes for the monsters, which change things up. You get the special skills of the new monsters can be like used on other players in a clever way. Apparently it switches things up nicely. It adds perhaps a bit more actual strategy, a bit more thought. There's clever combos you can put together. So I can't wait to play it myself, and not just because of the neon orange dice, which, you know, I think I'd just use them as default. So yeah, according to what I hear, the Halloween expansion isn't just a bit of daft fun. It actually does add a good amount to the game if you use it. So I'll probably be after that at some point. I guess I should probably wrap this up. First off, thank you to everybody who's subscribed to me on YouTube. I know I'm not on there quite as much as I should be, but it's fairly evident why at this point. thank you subscribers, and everybody who talks to me on Twitter, which is @CardcoreGamer on Twitter. Please keep talking. I like Twitter. I like talking to people. I like discussing game stuff and getting advice and giving advice and just talking about the hobby. So yeah, get on Twitter @CardcoreGamer. Get in touch. What else? I don't know. I think I'm pretty much done yapping now. But yeah, if I don't get another video out, then I hope everybody has a lovely Christmas holiday season, Decemberween, whatever you want to call it, period of the end of the year where nice things are supposed to happen. I hope that's wonderful for everyone. I know it's going to be the most unique one, I think, for me. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be so good. Yeah, so next time you see me, I'm probably going to be a dad. Because I doubt I'll get another video done soon. I would like to get another review done, but don't count on it before Christmas, really. Yeah, I shall see everybody in the new year, if not before. Thank you for watching. Play lots of games, have a good time, and take care.